update. We do what we do on these things. We're not getting that much action in the indexes just yet, which is totally fine. The best days to trade are flat days in the indexes. Flat days in the indexes become stock picker days. They become days like where individual setups start to work like just a lot better. You know, and you don't got to worry about all the kind of hoopla of whether the market's going up or down and do you need the long or short, you know, kind of all that fun stuff. So we're just consolidating here. We're digesting that, you know, this big push that we've had the last couple months. If you look at the SPY, you know, the SPY's right at highs too. So, you know, you're not really, I mean, you're not getting any heat, but you're not necessarily, you know, getting any fade. And the IWM, the small cap index, is still grinding higher, but you can see the intraday action on these things. They really do need to digest and just kind of marinate a little bit. But as they do that, I think, you know, we'll be setting up. We're not seeing any signs yet of, I mean, we're just not seeing any signs of anything that's like going to be worrisome, I guess, would be kind of the proper terminology. So just, you know, trade individual setups. We'll see what's going on. I wouldn't worry too much about the indexes just yet unless you start to see like some big kind of swooshing action. And then, you know, then we're going to have to change tactics for a little bit. But I think for now, we're pretty good. Let's take a look and see what kind of earnings plays are out there. And then from there, we'll take a look and see what are like the regular setups and potential swing setups that could be emerging. There's a whole host of gappers already showing up. So you can see like some of this shit like GME. GME's got a big squeeze. Somebody put a big squeeze on it yesterday. I mean, the range on this was really incredible. $20 for the most part. That's the type of move that'll make your month or potentially even year if you really do it right. Maybe this has got some more juice in it. You know, oftentimes, like if it hadn't gapped up so much today, I would have been probably much more likely to put this, you know, on my list and try for a shred. I think you could still keep. Trading it, at least on the day trading side. It did have about 144 million shares in volume, but I think today it's going to be a lot more choppy. You know, yesterday moved really clean, but after such a big move, especially this is not like necessarily like just some small little biotech stock. You may get some choppiness on this thing today. Like I wouldn't personally trade, you know, chase an 18% gap up on this bad boy. But for the most part, like I think we put on the list, if it starts to pull and hold somewhere, we'll, you know, have a shot at it. Spaceballs. So it looks like there was some news out there. It's being added to some ETF. And if you really look on kind of its daily chart, you know, let's go to like a weekly chart. Here, you can see like what you're starting to do, right? You've got a nice kind of like rounding pattern here that's starting to really emerge. I think really like once it starts taking out those kind of like the 34, 35, that's when it'll really speed up. But this is like a really nice look. If you really think about like what's been moving, right, in the last, you know, month or so, these IPOs or former IPOs, former SPACs, they're starting to pick up some steam in the last give or take month or so. I think this one's got to be, you know, on the gapper list for today. Now, one thing with space is it never really works that well on strength. Like how many times have we been in space where it just ends up being like a big turd? Too many times. So one thing with space is like we don't want to chase this gap up. Let it pull back to the 9 EMA, 20 EMA area. See where it starts to hold and build. And then from there, I think you'll have a chance on this. But this is frankly top of the list for today. You know, it's just, it might just be starting its move. You know, it might just be starting its move. And it looks like, you know, Kathy Wood is adding a space exploration ETF. Who knew there were so many fucking stocks that did space exploration, right? Fucking Star Trek is already here. This thing looks good. We just got to get a little bit of a pullback, and we'll see what's going on. Maxer, I didn't see any news on this bad boy. This thing sucks to trade past. NGA, it's a nice trend or two, but too extended. A lot of these names are too extended. Now, CICC. CICC, all its friends have been kind of starting to peek its head out, right? All its friends have been starting to like make a little bit of a move. This one's been consolidating now since about December. And you can see like what it's been doing is it's been prairie dogging just a little bit here, right? It's been prairie dogging just a little bit. Now we're getting into a sweet spot where if it can hold these MAs, then we're going to have a chance at something like this. This one's due for a run. I know if we look at more like an hourly chart, we'll start to see kind of, right, some levels start to emerge. Here, like 26 has been holding. You've got kind of a trend line break around 30 to 31. If it can start to push through there, you start to get an opening range breakout. I think we'll be good to go. This one's going to be, I think this one's hot to trot today. We're going to definitely need to be all up on this. Let's top of the list. Rooster, I don't know. Whoa. Whoa, let's not. Mara. So Bitcoin is popping back. It's at about 39,000 and some change for a hot second. This thing is, I think this Mara is going to be another one. Now, Mara doesn't trade very well on like ORBs. Anytime I've done an ORB on Mara or Riot, they've been just like kerplunking. This is a one that like you want to almost let it pull back a little bit. See where it starts to hold and grind, and then, you can pick it up with some steam. Frankly, the one that actually breaks out and works on like flag patterns and things like that is BTBT. BTBT, almost anytime you get like a hot little number on it, it works out and it shreds like a honorable person, where Mara does not act honorable. But BTBT, you're going to see some nice, I think we add both of these to the list. BTBT's got more room, but most likely it's a bigger turd. Now, we don't know. They're both going to be turds, but I think both, that one, BTBT is like a slightly more smelly, juicy turd, where, Mara's just like a nice, solid, probably, just a regular one that hangs. Riot is also looking pretty good here. Riot, for me, moves the worst out of the group, but it looks all right. Hey, this Sun is on a tear here. You got still, I think this thing has got still more upside. Not my particular flavor, but, it looks okay. It looks okay. All right, so we got BTBT CIC, Mars Space. Fuck this Fubo. Bum, 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 bum. APHA. Hey, guys, pot stocks were cooking yesterday. It's grind life on these things. I find CGC abhorrent to play. Like, it just never works the way I want. Treat me wrong once, treat me wrong twice. This thing has treated me wrong like 50 times. So it's just not my thing, but it does look like these things are moving. But like this TLRY is just long in the tooth now. Like, you really want to come in on a day 4, come in on a day 4 with your hands open saying, here I am, accept my love. No, you don't want to do that, right? So that's not really my thing. But Grow G had a nice kind of multi-day pullback here. This was its earnings day, right? So it pre-announced its earnings. Hey, we got a lot of growth, blah, 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 blah. This thing was cooking. Now, you've had a nice kind of multi-day pullback on this bad boy, right into the 9 EMA. It's starting to hold. Let's see how this thing kind of marinates. If it holds this 47 and we get a little marination station, hibachi grill hold on this thing, I think we're going to have a spot where we can start to build this thing back up, back into the 53, 54s, especially if the rest of the pot stocks are starting to hold. I know Paul's in, CGC for a swing, and he's been sitting on it for a little bit. I think this one's it just moves better on, it just moves better. Why is GrowG pulled back when all other pot stocks run? I mean, Marcos, have you never come into Classic ever? Do you not know how to read? More sellers than buyers. Bam! Yes! Got one out of the way! More sellers than buyers. That's why it's been going down. I mean, holy shit. Get one out in the morning? Marcos just gave me a gift. Thanks, Marcos. Man, I'm feeling good now. Alright, JMIA. Yo, but seriously, I think JMIA is getting ready for a breakout. Yeah, your face. Burn. Man, I'm on a roll today. JMIA is getting close to a breakout. We may need like a day of rest, but I think we're getting right into this bad boy. Let's go in and let's go. And I think this thing is 49 is the breakout. 49 is the breakout. I think we're going to be able to get this. There's a couple things. Hey, Marion, do you think I care? 49 is the breakout. Now we got to kind of let this thing push and let this thing build. Hey, Vic, I just messaged you that RMO is looking pretty good. Now we got this thing just kind of, I think we might need 1 or 2 more days of just hanging out, but I think we're getting close. As soon as this thing breaks over 49, all hell is going to break loose on it. It's going to get, you could see this thing into the 60s really, really quickly, like in a matter of 5-6 days. That's what happens when you get like an IPO breakout. You get that really kind of that nice push that comes in on these things, and the chasers will come in. This has got to be top of the list, I think, for the next few days. Add this to the list. I think it's looking pretty good. So now, besides like the gapper plays and the stuff that's already popping pre-market, let's talk about some of this other stuff. AI. There's a couple things that are happening. Number one, I posted the IPO list. I posted the IPO list in the Discord room yesterday. IPOs have been picking up. So if you run like a sector scan and start to see like what type of stocks are really going, it's been mostly IPOs, right? So you got yourself a nice list of IPOs here. I got 400 IPOs I kind of went through, yesterday. It doesn't take long to go through them. But if you run like a sort function, and what's been moving the most the last 5 days, 30 days, so on and so forth, what you'll start to see is all sorts of stuff heating up. This AI, you've got a range break right here around about 150. This stock moves a lot, so you want to really make sure that you don't have like too many shares or too many. This thing can shake you out a little bit because it's got a spread on it and its range is wild. So if you look here, it's got a $13 ATR. So what it means is like ATR is the average true range. How much range it moves on a day-to-day basis for the last 14 days. So it's 13 points. So you don't want to go in too big a size. But if we start to take out that range, I think that's going to really trigger a nice little run. It actually might trigger even a swing trade back up into the 180s. I'll just be day trading this thing, but I think you may even get a little bit of some swing action on that thing. This CPE, I've been stalking this one for a potential swing entry too. Your 90 EMA is tightening up on this. If you start to push over 16-ish, 1620, 1650, I think you're going to have a nice little run on that one. Oil stocks stink to trade, but commodities have been hot this year, and frankly, we just can't get around that. They've been rolling in pretty hot. Now, DocuSign had, after that big push, it had a rest day. So there's 3. So we want to break up our stocks into buckets. What I mean by buckets is, okay, you have different tiers, and so how are you going to manage and watch them? So the first bucket is always, right, okay, what are the stocks that are gapping that have like some type of earnings out or PRs out? Because those stocks are going to move on their own. So that's like your first bucket, right? Then you're going to have your second bucket, which is, okay, what stocks are looking like they could be swing trades? Swing trades are when you're holding stocks for multiple days, right? So you got a second bucket. And then your third is, okay, what are just like regular stocks that I'm going to day trade back and forth, right? So something like this DocuSign, this can go into, it's like not a gap or anything like that, but you had a nice rest day yesterday. There's a good shot this one can start to take out and retrend. If you can start to get over these levels, I'd wait for an ORB pattern or even a pullback one. Docu moves pretty well. You can do ORBs on them, and it'll work pretty well. XPEV is another one, right? This is like you had after the big push, so 45 to 55. So you had a $10 range. Now you've had an inside day, a rest day. Anytime, guys, you have like a big push, if the next day you have like a tight range and it just rests like a small bit, right? Where you rest in a tight range, there's a good shot that it's going to hold and start to rebuild. So we had a very, very kind of tight, just ranging day compared to this day, right? So you're just inside this previous day's range. That's actually really bullish. This is going to give us probably, I think today could be bullish for this bad boy. And then, you know, same thing with LI. You had that really nice push from 32 to 30, sometimes 5 points. And then you can see yesterday, like how you were like really just sitting around between, see this is the bottom was like 34.55 and then top of the range was 35.70. So you moved $5 this day, and then yesterday you were like really just chilling in a $1 range. That's tightening up its range. It's building up some power. If you can tighten and build for like in a real tight range like that after a big day, that's really bullish. I think both of these are on watch today as day trading vehicles only, right? The swing trade on XPEV was at 48. So, you know, if you're swing trading, the entry's got to be at 48. You know, now it's already ran $7, $8. We're just in a day trading mode on this one at this moment. But both of these are looking good. So you got AI, XPEV, LI, Docu. I would add Airbnb to this. Airbnb starting to take out its highs yesterday. The other thing is that we just trade Airbnb really well. I mean, there's been very few instances where we've played this on the day trading side where we've taken any heat on it. It just moves clean. It moves orderly. It treats you right. That's the way to go. Good, 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 good. Next one. If these autonomous car kind of things go, this thing had 100 million in volume yesterday. You can see like it was really cooking and booking. Like it was nice. See how like it just moves clean. You had nice, easy flag patterns and things of that nature. So when you're looking at a stock, right, and you want to put it on your list, first of all, there's a couple things that we want to be tracking, right? Does it move properly? Like, can it give us the expected gain in the way we want? The second part is if you see these like shoots here, if you see days, especially in this market, if you see days where you have like 100 million shares in volume and then the volume just dies down into like say 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 million shares, that's pretty good. And then see like how you just pop back up and you get this big green shoot, 137 million shares, right? And then the volume just dies back out. And then yesterday you push back into 100 million shares again. So you're getting something, right? It's a volume accumulation that's happening. If you get that, that's a sign, okay, I want to put something, on my list for a little bit. Then the second part is, okay, does it move clean? When I'm trading intraday, like, does it move clean? Does it shred where I need to shred? Does it work on the patterns that I trade? There's so many different patterns that people trade, but does it work on the patterns that I trade? So if it does, then that's pretty good. So this is down about 5%. This is a candidate for a red to green today. If it busts over this dotted line at the open, I think we take a shot at it. I don't like trading small caps, as you know. Usually if you trade small caps, I mean, The people that trade them are the lowest of the low usually. But every blue moon, because it's Thursday, it's Tasty Thursday, we'll take a little bit we may take a little gander at it. But in general, you don't want to trade small caps too often because if you screw them up, you're going to lose all your money, and then you probably lose your family. You'll lose all your hope. You may lose your job. You'll definitely lose your dignity. It's never a good sign. XL. We're at the sweet spot now. Like, I think this thing is, we're there. If it gets over this trend line, we're coming in hot on the shred. We're doing a annexation of Puerto Rico on this bad boy. Put an alert, 23.26. If it breaks and holds, that's going to be a good spot. All right? If it breaks and holds, that's going to be a good spot. This and CIIC, both of these have been trailing some of the others, right? Both of these have been trailing some of the others. When you're thinking about stocks that are about to go, when you get a stock that's been consolidating, basing after a big run, that's where it builds up power. That's where it builds up steam. That's what builds up energy. So when you start to break over your levels, now you're going to get this thing going. So both of these are top of the list. CIIC, Excel, that's the list. I'm sticking to it. I don't got any other names. I mean, I got a million names I'm watching, but you don't need to watch any of them. That's what you pay me for. You pay me to watch a million names so that you don't have to, so you can come in and shred in the chat room every day and do what needs to be done. I'll be watching all this other junk, but I don't think you really need to, because if you have a watch list that's too long, it gets a little bit janky. So we'll go in hot. Man, it's been a hot start to the year. I mean, we've been really shredding, so let's not get a little bit too crazy at the end of the week. We'll do what we have to do, which is the do. A lot of people have been asking about QS. I mean, this is the problem with QS is they diluted 300 million shares. So there's going to be an overhang on this for a while. It can move good as long as it holds over the 50 SMA. As long as it holds over the 50 SMA, it's in the game. All right? It's in the game. But they did such a monster dilution on it that it's having trouble holding. When you're like at a 200 million share float or whatever, and then you dilute 300 million, it's just a lawless thing. Like, it's not, I mean, I want to say lawless, but it's much cheaper than it was, but that dilution is going to be hanging on it for just a small bit of time. So just something to kind of keep mind of. I keep it on the list because it does move well. Like, I mean, we've made a lot of money day trading QS over the last so many months. So I think that it's worth keeping an eye on. But I do think, like, it's going to have a little bit of trouble till this 9 EMA starts to come down on it and tighten. And you really compress that range, and then it busts loose. Once it busts loose over there, it's good to go. You know, Jordan, I can't trade INTC. This is like more of a swing kind of stock. Man, you and your grandpa have been sharing stock tips for too long. I got to get you on the A team. No, it does look good on the swing side of things. Otherwise, you know. Hey, this Affirm IPO was a hot mover yesterday. We shredded this thing for a little bit. Might be worth a gander. IPOs are always risky on the first couple days, so I wouldn't, put all your eggs in the IPO basket on it, but it may be worth a gander. I think there's easier plays out there. Cool. That's the list, guys. I am sticking to it. Trade well, trade fast. Don't marry anything in this market. It's a go-go market. What you do, you take small shots. If they don't work, you get out quick, and you're in the hunt for winners. You're in the hunt for big movers. You're in the hunt for winners. You'll see that all the time. I may bat 40% today. I may throw a dud after dud because we're on the hunt. We take the small loss. We're on the hunt for the wieners. I mean, winners. All right. Let's go do... Jordan, that's a good job, man. I do got to catch up with you. Cool. Let's go have some fun. The Pen, DKNG look okay too. There's no stock that doesn't look good in this market, so you have to just be a little bit careful with that too. Every stock looks good. The pump is in the market. It's just what's happening. Let's go have some fun today. Let's go make it happen. Let's do what we do, which is the